guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I want to apologize for my voice sounding like this. I've been feeling sick for a while, and even though I've been okay for a few days, my voice just takes longer to catch up and go back to normal. I also want to apologize for my uploads taking a while. We've actually moved to a new house and it's been taking up a lot of my time. We'll talk more about that later, but today we'll be painting over this red pen sketch that I'm doing, and it's of a scene from Cinderella. This one won the poll on the last video on the series, and again, if you guys have any recommendations, make sure to leave them in the comments. Or you can vote for the suggestions you like by upvoting them, and then I'll be doing the top comment for my next one. So I'm drawing this on this gorgeous sketchbook. This one might look familiar, and that's because it's very similar to the one I used for my Legolas one, Lord of the Rings one, the last video in the series. The only difference between the two is the size. This one is a little bit bigger, and maybe the covers aren't the same, but it's the same paper and it's essentially in the same style. I just wanted to paint on my bigger one because I ran into trouble with my last one since it's just so small and it gets hard to get some of those details in there. So I had some few questions about it. I really just found it on Reddit on the Classifieds PH sub, but I do also have a Shopee link, so I will put that in the description. But the notebook itself is called Gilded Floral Journal, and it's by Peter Popper Press, so I believe you can find it on Amazon too. Before I start talking about the painting, while this notebook is gorgeous and it looks amazing on camera and in person, it's not really meant to work with the loose watery paint. It is great for sketches and thick gouache coverage like what I'm doing right now, but maybe manage you guys' expectations if you're looking at it and seeing me working on gouache with it. Just want to say that while it looks great on video, it's not really meant for what I'm using it for. So I want to talk a little bit about the movie Cinderella. If I'm being completely honest, I honestly don't remember that much about the original Disney animated one, so I can't really do any comparisons between the two. But what I really loved was this live action remake. Weirdly, Sleeping Beauty is actually one of my favorite movies of all time, and that one was animated, but I just don't remember that much about the original Disney Cinderella. I really love this remake though, and as much as I love the ball and the fairy tale aspects of the movie, what I love the most about the story was in the beginning of the film, and it's my favorite part too of Cinderella, is her character. In the beginning of the movie, they sort of showed Ella's resilience and determination. She's one of the most hardworking princesses, and I always thought that that was very admirable. So I wanted to show her in that beginning phase, especially a scene where she's working hard and she's showing a little bit of self-sacrifice for these people that are abusing her. And so I chose a scene that would show that in this painting, and I also just really like how well she fills out my sketchbook format in this scene. Well, just in the way that it's cropped. In a way, it tells a lot about how successful these paintings would turn out to be, is how they fill out the page. I've always noticed that people would like my paintings more when they are framed this way, when you sort of just see 3/4 of the character in the page and there's still the main focus without really having that much distractions that are going on in the scene. So I really like how this photo ticks a lot of those requirements for how it's gonna look in my sketchbook. It's very trivial, but it's one of the things that I look for. Another big thing that I really love about this scene is the colors. I was really drawn to these greens and blues together, and that topped off with the warmth of her hair. I really like how all those three things sort of just harmonized. I think it might be the least amount of red that I've used in a painting ever. I think I ended up using some of it for the front of her dress, but I can't even remember for sure if it was red. I think it could be a very reddish brown. But yeah, usually when I'm painting, I would always pour out a red in advance just because I know I'll use it anyway, whether it's to neutralize some of my greener mixes or just to add color to somebody's face. For this one, I don't even remember pouring out my red at all. I do remember using a couple of different greens, and maybe that's why I didn't need the red to neutralize my greens, because I've used a few. That is one thing that I feel like changed the most in my color schemes, is that I remember in one of my oldest videos I said that like multiple greens in a set, or I didn't like buying my own green paints just because I feel like it's a color that I feel like I can mix myself. And while it is true, green has turned out to be one of my favorite colors. And while I can't say it in this painting, another thing that I've noticed is that I don't use blue as much. For this one, I did have to use blue because it's in her gown and it's a big part of the color scheme for the whole movie. Like the red, blue is always something that I would just pour on my palette, even when it's not apparent in the photo that I'm painting. I just always know that I'll be using a blue. For this one, I've noticed when I poured out this very bright sky blue and the other blues that I've used for a dress, because lately I've been noticing that I haven't used blue as much. I think at the same time that I was starting to incorporate more of the greens in my piece, they've sort of taken the role that blue had in my palette, if that makes sense. With all of that being said, I really loved using this, especially this very pale sky blue in this painting. I used it for her hair to take down the yellowness of the light ochre, and I've also used it to make it cooler. Also used blue for the lightest skin tones, just a little bit of that same sky blue. I would mix it in with my other skin tone mixes, so even though it's not apparent in the painting outside of her dress, I actually used that sky blue a lot in this painting. So while I did try to preserve the colors and try to get similar kinds of values in this scene, what I really didn't take too much time actually trying to get was her face. Usually when I'm tiling like this, I would at least try initially to get the face right away, because it is what draws you to a picture, and I spent so much time on the face just so I'll know how successful I'll be for the whole piece. For this one, I didn't really give that much importance to her face. Well, I did, but it's more, I didn't really give importance to it looking like the actress that played Cinderella in the movie. I did put on effort on it, but it's more to make it work with the whole painting, and less about making it look like Lily James. As I went on in the piece, I did try at least a little bit to tweak her face more, to flesh it out more and add more detail to it. But overall, I felt like there were already so many distinctive elements to the piece that it wouldn't really take that much to recognize her. So I just realized that I talked so much about so many things, but I forgot to say that for this one I had to use my Holbein gouache, and I'm going back to what I said before, that we unexpectedly got a house, and so when we moved we didn't really have that much time to prepare our stuff, and so I ended up misplacing some of my art supplies. I did end up finding some things that I think would be really interesting to try again. But yeah, my Mia gouache was one of the things that I misplaced and I just couldn't find it. And so I think I'm gonna have to reorder it. This will be my third Mia gouache, which is really frustrating because there's so much of it that you would expect it to last for years. But yeah, because of that, most of the videos in this series is gonna be done with my Holbein gouache until I find a way to get another set of the Mio ones. I'm still going back to this sudden change in my life because of the new house and getting everything set up. I think my upload dates are gonna be a little bit erratic. I didn't warn you guys on my Discord server or anywhere because I didn't really think that moving could take up this much time, and before I knew it, weeks has passed. So if you're new to my channel, I do have a Discord server, and from now on I will be doing most of my updates on there. One thing that is great about this move is that this new location is much more quiet, and I also now have good internet, so I think I'm gonna be motivated to do a lot more live streams because that's one of my favorite things to do. I know I'm gonna be doing a lot of real-time walkthroughs soon just because that's gonna take the least amount of time to edit, and also the videos in the series are the least stressful for me, so probably more of those two just as soon as we get all of the little necessary repairs done to the house that we need. But yeah, all future updates will be done on my Discord server, and I will put a link to it in the description. For now, my voice is officially about to give out, so I will leave you guys to enjoy this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me, and I will be seeing you guys again soon.